So we are now well and truly into the business end of the season with just 10 games to go, 30 more points to play for. We are back for another episode of our championship score predictions, and as always we got some big games coming up this weekend. As always, all this weekend's fixtures will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and make your score predictions, and if you do manage to get any of them correct, your comment will be included next time. Before we do hop into my score predictions though, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, you can find their link in the top line of the description down below. If you are looking to keep up to date with all the latest news going on around the championship, then OneFootball is the best place to go ahead and do that. One interesting story that's come out recently is, of course, the players won't be shaking hands at the start of the games this weekend due to the coronavirus. That one's happening all across the Football League, which is quite an interesting one. As well as that, you can keep up to date with all the latest scores going on, and when a goal does go in, you can get updates to your phone, which is always handy to have. So like I say, OneFootball, link down below. But without any further ado, let's hop into these score predictions. So starting things out with the game going on tonight at the City Ground between Nottingham Forest and Millwall. An interesting matchup this one. Forest were in action on Monday night. That ended up being a 2-2 draw away at Middlesbrough. Bit of an opportunity missed there. You felt like Forest would have wanted to go there and pick up all 3 points. Obviously they took the lead, really nice goal from Yates, allowed Middlesbrough to get back into the game, but then Lewis Drobbin with a late equaliser. I did think that João Carvalho had quite the effect on that game coming on from the bench, and especially with a player like Thiago Silva who's out injured at the moment for Forest, you'd think that bringing João Carvalho into the starting 11 would be the natural replacement for that. We've not really seen all too much of Carvalho so far this season. He's mostly been on the bench so far, but now with Silva out injured, you feel like it's the perfect time, because there have been some occasions where Forest have set up maybe a little bit too defensively at home, and that's come back to bite them when they've been drawing too many matches. They're obviously still looking to close the gap on the sides above them, and the same is also the case for Millwall, who are looking to close down the top 6 at the moment. I thought that they got fairly unlucky at the weekend not to pick up all 3 points against Bristol City. Definitely had enough chances to win it. They had Matt Smith and Tom Bradshaw working as the forward 2 in that game, really worked well for each other and had more than enough chances to go on and win it. For this game, I don't think there'll be all too much in it. I'm just edging towards Forest. I'm going to say 1-0. I'm not sure there'll be all too many goals in this one, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Big opportunity, that one. And as the early kick-off on Saturday, we then got Bristol City going up against Fulham. Now, the playoff picture at the moment is quite bizarre, really, because no one's in a great run of form. Bristol City have only won 1 of their last 6 matches. However, they're only 2 points away from sneaking into the top 6, so anything could happen come this weekend. They're going up against this Fulham side, who have been on a decent run lately. They've won their last 2 matches against pretty tough opposition in Swansea and Preston. There's an argument to be made that maybe they got a little bit fortunate in those games, but you know, it's points on the board for Fulham as they're continuing to look to close the gap on the top 2, currently 5 points away from Leeds United. It's also 2 interesting clashing styles going up against each other in this one, with Fulham and the amount of the ball that they tend to have per game, and Bristol City in the way they like to play on the counter-attack. You feel like the first goal is going to be crucial for this game. In the majority of games where Fulham have dropped points this season, it has been when they have conceded first. An example of that was earlier on this season when Bristol City did beat Fulham at Craven Cottage by 2-1. If Fulham do get that first goal, then I think that they probably see out the game from there, but if Bristol City do, Fulham can be a little bit clunky at times trying to break teams down. So for this one, I think I am just swaying towards Fulham, with them being on the slightly better form at the moment, and the people they have going forward can come up with those game-changing moments. I'm going to go 2-1 Fulham. FIFA's going to say 1-1. Another interesting matchup this weekend. And then we got Barnsley going up against Cardiff. Now, a point doesn't really do either of these sides any favours, with Barnsley 5 points away from safety and Cardiff 5 points away from the top 6. You'd imagine that both clubs will be going for all 3 points in this one. Added to that as well, Barnsley also have the advantage of the fact that a lot of the sides around the bottom of the championship are playing each other this weekend, so teams are bound to be dropping points above them. They need to capitalise on a weekend like this, with them looking to close that gap. Cardiff are a bit of a tricky customer at the moment. They're without winning their last 4 matches, but I thought it was a decent comeback at the weekend against Brentford. A lot of other sides will crumble in that situation, but with the way that they are going forward, the way they like to swing balls into the box, having that long throw of Will Vokes, which always causes problems. If Barnsley aren't defensively sound for this one, then Cardiff could have quite a bit of joy out of them. They got good players out wide in Hoylett and Adoma. We spoke on the last video about how the injury to Lee Tomlin might affect them, but they definitely still got a goal threat. This Barnsley side, not the greatest last weekend, losing 2-0 against Reading. I thought that was quite a good opportunity for them to get something against a Reading side who wasn't in great form, but a couple of defensive errors in that one ended up costing them. They did have chances going forward, but I think being back at Oakwell for this one will be an advantage. advantage. And I'm just swaying towards Barnsley perhaps. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Barnsley in that game, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Cardiff. Then to a game with not quite as much at stake, we've got Birmingham going up against Reading, with both sides sat in mid-table. I'd just like to see a good game between these two really. They were in action in midweek. Birmingham getting knocked out of the FA Cup by Leicester, and Reading against Sheffield United. I thought that both sides gave good accounts of themselves, to be honest. They both put out strong lineups and gave it their all. In the end, with the Birmingham game, it was the Pereira goal in the second half which proved to be the difference. And then for Reading, that one went to extra time, where Billy Sharp was able to secure the winner for Sheffield United. Puskas was on the score sheet once again for Reading. That's now 2 for 2 for him. Obviously with them winning last weekend in the league as well, beating Barnsley by 2 goals still. Much better from Reading, bouncing back from a really dodgy couple of results. For this one, I think that Birmingham, being at home and with this impressive run they're on in the league at the moment, I think I'm just edging towards them with the firepower they've got going forward. Bellingham will probably be back involved this weekend as well. I'm just going to go 2-1 Birmingham, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Blues. Brentford against Sheffield Wednesday is another interesting one. Brentford obviously looking to get back to winning ways after 5 games in the league without a win. A lot of the sides around the top 6 have been tailing off lately in terms of their form. We thought they found their mojo back at the weekend as they found themselves 2-0 up away at Cardiff after 21 minutes, but they blew that lead in the end with some quite weak defending. I think the sooner Jansen's back in that team, the better really. I think he is getting closer to being back fit, but isn't quite there yet. This Sheffield Wednesday side were in action in midweek. They did lose against Man City, but to be fair, I thought they gave a decent account of themselves. It wasn't quite the battering that I was predicting in that game. And I'm interested to see what Gary Monk goes with in terms of the team selection for this one, because I do think that a couple of the performances from that cup game will have given him something to think about coming into this weekend. Joe Wildsmith, for one, I thought potentially could have done a little bit better with the goal, but apart from that, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And if it wasn't for some of the fantastic saves that Wildsmith made, Man City could have absolutely run away with that game. I thought he was terrific. The influence that Ayorfa has at the back for Sheffield Wednesday, I also think is massive for them. So I do think that despite the loss, they can take quite a bit of confidence from that game. I think that with Brentford needing it a little bit more, to be honest, I don't think there'll be ultimately goals in this game. I'm just going to say it'll be 1-0 Brentford, and they'll just edge it. Wednesday, of course, have been a bit dodgy in the league recently. That game at the weekend was an absolute disaster against Derby, but I'm going to go 1-0 Brentford. FIFA's going to go 1-0 Wednesday. Could go either way. And into a massive game at the bottom of the Championship. That sees Charlton going up against Middlesbrough. Just 1 point separates these two at the moment. Middlesbrough do find themselves in the bottom 3, but all 3 points would take them back above the dotted line. Charlton at the weekend, it was a bit of a disaster really. 4-0 loss away at Huddersfield. So far this season, no goalkeeper has made more saves than Dylan Phillips, the Charlton keeper. That's obviously a testament to how good he's been so far this season, but it also shows how many chances they concede per game. And if it wasn't for Phillips being in form this season, Charlton really would find themselves in an even trickier position at the moment. And when he does have an off day like he did at the weekend, Charlton can be left to be a bit exposed in those areas. And you think that if Middlesbrough really do go for this one, then they could have a little bit of joy in those areas. Middlesbrough obviously in action on Monday night. That 2-2 draw against Nottingham Forest did turn things around quite well in that one. 2 well-taken goals, but just couldn't hold on in the end. Lewis Graben equalising late on. I think this is going to be a really nervy game, and to be honest, I don't know if there's going to be all too much quality or all too much in it, and I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I'm sitting on the fence for that one. FIFA saying 1-0 Charlton. Next up, we then got a tasty looking all Yorkshire affair between Leeds and Huddersfield. Both sides were in good goal scoring form last weekend. Leeds putting 4 goals past Hull as they saw them off quite comfortably, and Huddersfield doing the same against Charlton, putting 4 goals past them. Huddersfield recently, their home form has been very good. Away, they've been struggling a little bit more, just 1 win in their last 8 away matches. But looking at Huddersfield's recent record at Ellen Road, this one could make for quite an interesting game. In their last 2 meetings at Ellen Road, it has been Huddersfield who have come out on top in both those games. They won 1-0 away there last time, and the time before that beat Leeds by 4 goals to 1. So could this be a potential spanner in the works? I'm not so sure. Leeds have been looking quite comfortable lately. They've kept 4 clean sheets in their last 4 matches, and looking at Leeds' fixtures between now and the end of the season, I think what a lot of people have pointed at is their home games do look very winnable, and if they do get through all of those home matches and then pick up the odd point and here and there away from home, that should be enough to secure promotion for them. So this is the sort of game where they are going to be looking at all 3 points, but Huddersfield, with the way that they are going forward at the moment, could put a spanner in the works. Leeds were brilliant last weekend though, and I think that with the creativity they've got in that side at the moment, Calvin Phillips being back in the squad as well, I think they'll just about have enough, but I think Huddersfield will put up a good fight. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds in this game, with FIFA saying they've won the Leeds. Next up, we then got Preston going up against QPR. Now, despite QPR being sat in mid-table, that doesn't mean that they've taken their foot off the gas by any stretch of the imagination. They're unbeaten in their last last 5 matches. Did really well in their last 2 away matches as well against fellow promotion hopefuls Nottingham Forest and Swansea. Both those games ended as goalless draws, and they managed to frustrate the opposition for 90 minutes, and I feel like they may come to Deepdale and look to do something similar in this one as well. Dominic Ball's been doing really well for them in midfield, and we all know about the attacking threat that QPR come to town with. It would be no surprise to anyone at Preston if Jordan Hugill ends up getting on the score sheet against his former club. But for Preston, it is a good opportunity to get back to winning ways after 2 really tough away games against West Brom and Fulham, both of which we lost by 2-0. To be getting back to Deepdale in this one, obviously, the injury to Ben Pearson, who's going to be out for the next month or so, isn't going to help us. I'm interested to see how Alex Neil rotates the side around that, whether he looks to bring in Ryan Ledson for the time being, or he looks to play Daniel Johnson and Alan Brown a little bit deeper, maybe playing someone like Brad Potts or Josh Harrop in that number 10 role. There's a lot of options that Neil could go with, especially in forward areas. You know, going forward, do we go with Tom Barkhuizen for the pace, Jane Stockley for that hold-up player, or does he stick with David Nugent? He's got a lot of potentials he could go for there. I'm just going to back us to get through this game. We're going to go 2-1, but QPR are more than capable of getting something from this game. FIFA's back in the away side for a 2-0 away victory. I just feel as if we need to take advantage of these next like 4 or so fixtures. And then to another massive game at the bottom of the league, we see Stoke going up against Hull. Now, I think that this game could really cement Hull being in trouble this season. They're currently 18th in the league, but with the run they're on at the moment and with how close it is in the bottom 3, if they lose this game and results go against them, they could find themselves in the bottom 3 come the end of the weekend. Now, Stoke in this one, their home form has been decent lately. They've won 3 of their last 4 home matches. Away from home has been a little bit more inconsistent. That last game they had at the weekend against Luton, a 1-1 draw, they took the lead early on with a goal from Sam Vokes in that game, but they didn't look to kill off the game after that. They came out for the second half, looked to sit back a little bit more, defend the lead they had. I don't think they should approach this game in that way. I think that if they do take the lead in this one, they should sense blood and just absolutely go for it. They have been able to do that and capitalise on their good home form recently. I do think that Stoke squad still has goals in them, and with the injuries that Hull have to their defenders at the back, you know, Device and Burke are still going to be out for this week. We saw with Hull's game against Leeds at the weekend, albeit against a different calibre of opposition, if you do put them under pressure, the cracks will appear in those situations. I think that Stoke may just about get through this game, and that'll be a massive 3 points for their season if it does come off. I'm going to go 2-1 Stoke. FIFA's going to go 2-0 Hull. Really big game for both sides. And then next up, we've got Swansea going up against West Brom. Now, Swansea 4 points away from the top 6 at the moment. Just too many draws in there at the moment. 3 out of their last 5 matches have all ended level. Their last one, they did get a little bit unfortunate with, really. I thought it was a really good away performance at Blackburn. Turned that one around, but thanks to a 95th minute equaliser from Bradley Johnson, the points were shared in that one. Going up against this West Brom side, who I'm interested to see how they react from their last outing in the Championship, losing 1-0 against Wigan. They were also in action in midweek as well. They lost against Newcastle. Slaven Bilic did rotate a lot of the squad for that one. It was their second team playing, but Newcastle sort of had that game wrapped up within the first half. They were 3-0 up. West Brom then mounted a bit of a comeback in the second half. They played well for the final 10 minutes after a few changes had been made, but ultimately it was Newcastle who were to progress after being the better side. For this one, West Brom do have Soyuz back in the side for this one. I think that will definitely help them progressing the ball throughout midfield. Diane Garner is still a couple more weeks away from returning from injury. I think they have lacked a bit of explosivity that Diane Garner adds. Robinson has been really effective playing on the left-hand side recently, but you can't really replicate what Diane Garner adds to that side. And I think that Swansea may frustrate West Brom in this one. I think I see it heading towards another draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 in this game, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 to the Baggies. And then another big game at the bottom of the Championship sees Wigan going up against Luton. Now, Wigan are on an absolute roll at the moment, having been unbeaten in their last 5. They won their last 3, kept clean sheets in those games as well. It's a big opportunity for Wigan to continue to pull clear of the bottom 3. However, should they lose this game, that drags them straight back into it, so they're not completely out of the woods yet. Luton have been a tricky side to predict throughout the season. They have thrown the spanner in the works when you don't expect them to. They pick a result up out of nowhere. Their away record has been where they've been struggling throughout the season so far, though. They picked up the fewest amount of points away from home in the league this season, just 9 points on the road. If they want to go ahead and climb out of the bottom 3, it's away matches like this which are absolutely pivotal to their season. You know, we saw them beat Middlesbrough a couple of weeks ago, which was a massive result for them, not only for their season but ensuring that the teams above them don't pull away from them. This is another chance like that for Luton. Their last game, I thought they played fairly well in the second half against Stoke, got back into that game. It finished as a 1-1 draw. A loss in this game would be devastating for Luton, but the way that we're going to go at the moment, looking a lot more confident going forward, I think they may have the better of this one. I'm going to go 2-0 Wigan, whereas FIFA's going to say it'll be a goalless draw. And that's our final game going on this weekend. The Sunday kickoff sees Derby going up against Blackburn. Now, it'll be interesting to see if fatigue affects Derby, with them being in action the other day on Thursday against Man United in the FA Cup. In the end, it was Man United who walked away, progressing to the next round, beating Derby by 3-0. I was interested to see the lineup that Philip Koku went with for that one. Made a lot of rotations, put a lot of youngsters into that game who I thought did fairly well for themselves. It was just Man United ended up being the better team. You know, Luke Shaw with the opener and Igalo with the brace in that one. Wayne Rooney probably had the best chance for Derby with that free kick, but apart from that, just weren't quite able to get their way past Romero. This Blackburn side are looking to chase down the top 6, and should results go their way over the course of Saturday, they'll have that added motivation in this one. You know, if Bristol City and Preston drop points, Blackburn are the next side looking to capitalise on any poor form. Blackburn lately have dropped off a little bit in terms of their last 3 games have all ended as draws. They're looking to get back on it and pick up all 3 points in this one. It was obviously a late equaliser in their last game against Swansea to salvage a point. However, Derby do currently have the 3rd best home record in the league. Only Fulham and Preston have picked up more points at home than Derby have. Derby will also be hoping that the injury to Tom Lawrence, which saw him going off early in that game against United, isn't going to be too serious. I'm guessing he's probably going to be missing for this weekend. It's not been confirmed yet as of recording this video, but I'm guessing that'll be the case. That's going to be a real blow for Derby. Obviously, he scored a brace at the weekend against Sheffield Wednesday, where they look really effective going forward. For this game, I think it'll be quite an entertaining one with not much in it. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Derby. But guys, they have it there on my championship score predictions for what I see happening this weekend. So do let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is going to happen and what are your score predictions. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you're going to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular championship content. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.